BarbacoaCore.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the BarbacoaCore Podcast. It's been a while. I have not been doing episodes, recording episodes. Just took almost took the whole month off, basically, and just trying to get back into it. Putting out podcasts on a weekly basis. I'm not doing any Zoom chats. I canceled my Zoom subscription just because I wasn't having fun doing those. You know, I like talking to other comics, other friends, catching up with them and all that stuff. But just with the Zoom, there's like just this big disconnect. Especially if like the Wi-Fi is bad, the internet service isn't that good. Just distractions. I mean, we're not in the same room. We got to deal with delays and all that stuff. So it wasn't as fun as I had hoped. I got to talk to some of my friends, just catch up with them since I haven't seen them physically since the whole thing popped off. So it's fun. I still do Zoom chats, and I might be working on another podcast with a group of friends of mine that we're all going to be doing remotely. So I stopped doing those types of podcasts for the BarbacoaCore, and now I just want to get back to a weekly. Put out a weekly episode of just stuff, just catching up with what's going on. Again, not a lot's going on, but because everything's that popped off. But still, just put something out there. So that's what I'm doing here. Even though I talk shit about the Zoom comedy shows, here I am recording a podcast that I will put online. And it's the same thing. Obviously, it's the same thing. It's the same idea. But I just don't do the Zoom comedy shows. I don't do Zoom podcasts for the BarbacoaCore. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but some buddies of mine are going to try to put a thing together. I mean, obviously, it's a podcast where we're recording remotely, and then put that together and just try to make something vibe out of that. It's an idea we've been talking about for a while, but we're all doing our different things, on different schedules and all that stuff. So the idea that may come to life, but we'll see that whenever it happens. So yeah. So last weekend I performed my first comedy show in over 5 months. I think my last show was on March 12th, and I haven't done anything since then. So I got an opportunity to do a feature set for Danny Engel. It was Danny Engel headlining, myself doing a feature set, and B Brown was hosting, and he killed it. And it's fun. Danny Engel has been helping me out a lot, offered me a bunch of shows. He's taken me to do a bunch of shows, and I was actually supposed to do some road shows with him that unfortunately got canceled right when this whole thing popped off, when the whole shutdown popped off and all that stuff. But the show that I did at Goofy's is in a venue in Canyon Lake, a bar and comedy venue in Canyon Lake. Great place. The owners are very nice, extremely nice, took care of us. It was my second time doing a show there at Goofy's, and I liked that place. I was so eager, so ready to go and do a comedy show. And I had a lot of fun. I was rusty as hell. The audience really knew that. I actually made them aware that I haven't done anything on stage in 5 months, and I was more loose. And more so because I could not remember a lot of my jokes, a lot of my bits. For the first time in 5 months, I haven't done any open mics. I haven't tried out any of my new stuff that I've been sort of working on. So I don't know exactly how much time I did, but I know I was up there for a long time. The crowd was great. There was about 20 people in the audience, and it's a Canyon Lake crowd, so they're older, whiter people. But they had fun. I had fun. I did a lot of crowd work because there was this one lady that kept wanting chime in and add her little stuff, and so I had fun with that and fun with some people, and it was good. I tried out some new jokes. I messed up some old jokes, which was kind of like, just getting back into it, and I felt amazing. I felt amazing. It was not, by far, was not my best performance, and I know that. I'm fully aware of that. But it was so good. It felt so good to get back on stage, to the point when I just on the drive home, I just was like going over my set and playing stuff back in my head, and not realizing that I had this huge smile on my face. Like it just felt good to get back on stage. That whole feeling that comes with that, and it was a lot of fun. Um, I'm still not sure how I feel about just going back out to different things. If a show gets offered to me, of course I'll consider it, and more than likely I'll do it. But as far as getting back to open mics and all that stuff, I don't know how I feel about doing that yet. And I appreciate doing comedy a whole lot more. I had a blast. I had a lot of fun. Again, it's not a good set. I did not perform my best set ever, but it was a lot of fun getting the response on little things here and there. It was great. So yeah, that's comedy. Getting back into like trying to keep myself busy, keep myself entertained, especially since I haven't been drinking. I've been trying to figure out what to do with that time, now that I'm not as lazy as I was before when I was drinking. I'm trying to figure out what to do. So I enrolled in going back to school for graphic designing, which is something that I've always been interested in. And when I say going back to school, I'm just talking about YouTube University, just checking out little clips here, trying to learn on that. And it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun to focus on something, to have a little projects here and there. So yeah, trying to get into graphic designing. Want to kind of make T-shirts and like just apparel and stuff like that. Logos, just little things. Try to teach myself little other things to do to keep my hands entertained, my mind entertained. Especially now that like I've went back into comedy, performing comedy shows. Like now that I know that I do miss it and I do love being on stage, can't do that too much now because everything that's going on. I need to keep myself busy, and so I'm thinking about checking out graphic designing and to see how that works. Right now, again, I'm just doing the YouTube University to try to learn different software, different tools, different stuff like that. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I'll stick with it. I don't know. Well, I've just started, so we'll see how that goes. But just trying to pick up different hobbies, different things to focus on, so I'm not when I do start drinking again, I'm just not about all drinking. I want to maybe drink here and there, and then let's work on graphic designing, or let's work on comedy stuff, or let's work on the podcast, or let's read some stuff. Let's do, so yeah, that's one of the things that I'm trying to get into. I started a band, sort of. It's a fake band. I created a fake band because I am thinking about getting back into playing drums. I started looking at drum sets and pricing out drum sets. I haven't pulled the trigger or anything because I don't have a place to play, and I don't want to just buy stuff just to store it. So I'm thinking for sure going to get a drum set in the near future. I got to get the rust off because I haven't played drums in over 4 years, and I'm really decided that I miss it. It was my first love type of thing as far as finding an art, something to channel my art, my whatever, my focus on. So getting back into drums. But yeah, so with the whole graphic designing thing, I wanted to kind of make a fake band so I could start making fake merch. And I did a little announcement on the social medias, and I don't know if people understood that I was kidding. when I was talking about making a band, or my band is releasing and then we're breaking up and then we're planning a reunion release and all that stuff. My band is Carpe Guisada, which is a play on words, obviously. Like Carne Guisada or Carpe Diem. So I just did a mashup and then called it Carpe Guisada. And so that's going to be my band for the time being for merch purposes, or anything. I like it. I think it's a funny thing. But I'm working on the album the album cover, which is Carpe Guisada Diem. I hardly knew him, which is a stupid old, whatever, rectum. Anyway, so that's the thing. Hopefully, people will understand that it was a joke when I did that announcement stuff. If you see me posting stuff on Facebook, Instagram, social media, Twitter, just know that more than likely it is a full joke. Don't take it too seriously. I don't take it too seriously, and but I don't know. After I put it out, somebody posted, "Oh, I like that name," and I was like, "I like that name too." And I think I would actually, if I did have a band, I would actually wouldn't mind calling it Carpe Guisada. Get back to the roots and all that stuff. I don't know, but with that whole graphic designing idea and trying to like learn how to make that, I decided to create a fake band. Just for fake merch purposes, and that's who it is. That's who it's gonna be. Carpe Guisada. I gotta lose weight, man. Like it is getting pretty ridiculous. I've been to the point where I am back to the heaviest that I've ever been, and I think that's like my fifth time saying that in life, and I want that to be probably the last time that I say that in life. When everything popped off, I was like, I just gave up. I thought we were all going to give up. And that's what I thought. We all agreed to just give up and order out. And apparently that's not the case. I see a lot of people going online, posting that they've been working out and losing weight, and I'm just like, dude, like, did you not get the memo? Like, we're done. We gave up. Like, nothing matters. Health doesn't matter, and obviously that's not true. Health is very important, but I just didn't take it as seriously as I thought. I thought we all just gave up. I think that's the truth of it. I thought nobody cared about losing weight. I thought we were all going to be a bunch of fatties and support our restaurants, make sure that they don't go under because we can't go in them. But no, people are eating healthy and getting skinny, and I can't stand it. I mean, congratulations, obviously, good for you. But I hate when I was like, am I the only fat one here still? Like, what's the deal? Just get fat with me. But oh man, so that's gonna be coming up probably pretty soon. I don't exercise. I don't move a lot, and I know that is pretty bad. Like I do this thing as a release, and this is just how I jam out to music. But I'll be like pacing. I'll put it has to be my wireless headphones because I've gotten tangled up in wires and stuff. But I would just like be jamming out to whatever, just fucking loud metalcore music, and just roaming around my apartment and acting like I'm the lead singer and like yelling into like or whisper yelling, whatever, because I don't know how to yell. Like just as if I'm like the living room is my stage and I'm the lead singer, like going around with the band and just like rah. And that's like an exercise. It's truly an exercise to me, and I call it an exercise because I sweat when I do it. And if you're sweating, then you're exercising. In my book, anything that makes you sweat is an exercise. And so I sweat before the song's even done. And I realized, man, that is not a good thing. Probably it's probably this is me. This is my body saying you are too out of shape to even fake being a lead singer and going off on stage and all that stuff. And but it's fun. It's fun. I remember an old roommate of mine actually caught me doing that. well, he could hear it. I was in my room. I had my door closed and my headphones on, and I'm just jumping out like all around my room, jumping on the bed, jumping off the bed, doing all this stuff, just living my best life, pretending like I'm the lead singer of whatever band I was lip syncing to, and just you could hear me like throw myself against the walls and doing all this stuff and sweating and going at it, blah blah blah. And then I step out to get a drink of water, and I realize that my roommate is outside, and he's looking at me. He's like, what's going on in there?" I was like, "Oh, nothing, just masturbating," because I thought that was less embarrassing than saying I am rocking out and I'm playing, pretending to be a lead singer of this band. Blah, blah. And now that I think about it, it probably wasn't as embarrassing as admitting that I was playing with myself. So I've been watching a lot of documentaries on Prime Video. A lot of cool documentaries. Saw like the Brainiac documentary, which was really cool. I don't know if y'all know about the band called Brainiac from like the early '90s out of Ohio. Pioneers of like a certain sound, certain studio tricks and all that stuff. That they're very underrated, but they influence a lot of people, a lot of other bands, as far as their aesthetic, their sound. So yeah, and so just on their rise up, they had lost their singer. Their singer died in a car accident. And I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a car accident. You know how car accidents just happen. But apparently the singer, he had bought an old car, and the car had a carbon monoxide leak that he wasn't aware of. You know, he had just bought this car. He was really proud of this car. I don't know the name of the type of car, but apparently the car itself had would leak carbon monoxide into the car while he was driving it, and apparently that caused him to pass out and crash off the road, which is pretty sad and all that stuff. But you can watch that Brainiac. Check out Brainiac. Electroshock for President is a great EP, one of my favorite EPs. Brainiac's on Spotify, but check out the documentary on Prime Video. Really good. Also saw the documentary of Kitty, the all-female metal band. I was really into them before, mostly because they were all female musicians, and I thought that was pretty hardcore, and fucking wrote some of the most gnarliest fucking metal back then. And I just listened to the first two albums, and I didn't really keep up with them, but I thought the documentary was pretty impressive, showing the whole history of Kitty and where they are now. But one thing that I saw this. It's an old documentary. I think it came out like in 2005 or something. But it's called "Shut Up, Little Man," and it's about these kids in the '80s that recorded their neighbors. They had noisy neighbors. They lived in San Francisco. They lived in like this really cheap, rundown apartment back in like '87 or something. And their neighbors, which is two guys, Ray and Paul, Ray and Peter, Ray and Paul, I don't know. But they would argue all the time. They would day drink, and then at night they would just drunk argue all the time. And just the way they phrased their words, their word plays and all that stuff was just so fucking hilarious. Like if you hear like drunk people argue, like they're not really in control of their vocabulary, all the best. And so it's entertaining to a point, and then it's just like ridiculous. And so I think they asked them to keep it down because it was a nightly occurrence. And they refused. They refused to stop fighting, stop arguing so loud through the walls. And so these guys, I can't remember who the guys were, but the guys decided to just start recording them. They started recording all the arguments to the point where they had like over 14 hours of material, or just recording of them argue and saying some of the rowdiest stuff, most known, like "Shut Up, Little Man." He just kept calling his roommate "Little Man," "Little Man," just to put him down, I guess. And anyway, so somehow these tapes got dubbed, copied, and released, and became a viral thing before internet was even around. How videos could go viral. Everybody's watching their phones. Everybody's sharing this, sharing that. But somehow these tapes that got overdubbed, and then used and as skits and stuff on cassettes, just spread all over the world. And then people made cartoons out of them and comic strips. And there was a play about these guys, and there's a movie about these guys too as well, just based off of these tapes, these conversations that were, or arguments that were caught on tape by their neighbors, by their nosy neighbors, recording their noisy neighbors. And I think that makes sense. I don't know, words. And that it spread like wildfire, and everybody kind of like knew type of thing. Like they just heard of this stuff. They just found it. A friend of a friend shares a thing, and it amazes me that these cassettes from recorded, by these kids back in '87 got dubbed and shared and spread all over the place, from San Francisco all the way to New York and everywhere throughout. That amazed me. One thing that bugged me though is like, how can they just made money off these guys recording their arguments, and they didn't have to pay them anything. They didn't have to give them anything. I think they felt bad after, like, years, decades later. They felt bad that like this art, they kept calling it art, of that they captured was so big, and the subjects, the two guys that were arguing all the time, got nothing out of it. They didn't even know about it, and so they tried just offering them like $100 as a say, like, oh, we exploited you. Here's $100 and all that stuff. But it was interesting. It's an interesting documentary. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. Maybe this sounds so fucking boring, but yeah, I don't know. Shut Up, Little Man on Prime Video, or I'm sure you can find it anywhere else. But I thought it was really fucking cool. Another thing that I'm checking out on Hulu right now is it's a Vice documentary thing called The Dark Side of the Ring. And I'm an old school wrestling fan. I fell off, around middle school, high school, watching wrestling and stuff, just because it wasn't all that cool to me anymore. But I love the old school WWF stuff. I don't keep up with it anymore. I don't know if it's still as entertaining as it was before. I'm pretty sure it is now. Like, it's more popular, and everybody likes wrestling now. But Vice has this series called Dark Side of the Ring, and it just shows old stories from old wrestlers, even beyond my before I got into it. Wrestlers from the '80s and all that stuff. But the two good ones, I have the Bret Hart one, and then also Macho Man Randy Savage and his wife Elizabeth. I didn't realize that their marriage was so was really that shaky. I didn't know that. I thought it was all an act. I always was in on the joke. I always knew that it was kind of fake and staged and all that stuff, but some of it was like reality. And so watching that one, and the Von Erichs, the story of the Von Erichs, which is really fucking sad, man. They had it's a good documentary if you're into like old school wrestling and stuff. I found it on Hulu. I don't know if you can find it anywhere else. But Dark Side of the Ring was pretty cool, and yeah, so check that out. So now that we head into August, and again, I've done my sober stint. Did that. It was fun. But I am kind of looking forward to drinking, getting back into drinking. I'm going to limit myself to maybe 3 drinks, no more than 4 drinks, whenever I do decide to drink again, and just be more conscious about my intake and just be more careful because I don't want to get back into hangovers as a habit, out of habit. Because that sucks, man. I got tired of waking up hungover all the time. So yeah, cheers to August and yeah, all that good stuff. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you did listen, if this is your thing, your type of thing, cool. Thanks for listening and all that stuff. And this is what it's going to be. This is what the podcast is now. It is just going to be me until I am able to get guests back in the room and then talk to guests. Hopefully you like it. If you stick with it, I appreciate you doing that. You can find out everything, BarbacoaCore.com, the Facebooks, the social medias, everything is at Patrick C. Huerta or at BarbacoaCore. Next week. All right, cool. Later. Thank you.